Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Matthew Taylor. I am one of the chief architects for Enter One in the Professional Services Business Unit, and I am going to show you how you can register your Hyperflex domain in Intersight and deploy Hyperflex from Intersight. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and launch UCS Manager. The first thing that you have to do is you have to register UCS Manager with Intersight. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to log in to UCS Manager with hopefully the right password. And once that login is complete, okay, so what we'll do is we'll go down to the admin tab, and then we're going to set the filter to device connector. So we can actually view right now that our Intersight is not claimed. So what we're doing is the device connector is a lightweight piece of software that resides within the Fabric Interconnect that will actually connect to the web and exchange control plane information with Cisco Intersight. So what I have to do is I have to go to Intersight. Okay. So I go to intersight.com. And I'm going to log in with my Cisco CCO ID. Now I'll show you the process for claiming. What I currently have right now, since I actually built it yesterday, was the Hyperflex cluster that's already there. So if we take a look at Intersight, Intersight is a distributed cloud-based management platform for compute and hyper-converged compute resources. So as you can see here, I have a Hyperflex cluster, but I've already wiped my UCS clean, so really it's not going to be there anymore. So what we'll do is we'll click on Devices. So here I have two. I have HXFI and Enter1FX. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete those since that's already been cleared out. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to claim the devices. So if I go back to UCS Manager, show you right here, there's a device ID and a claim code. So that is a two-factor authentication that would prevent rogue actors from registering as well. So what I'll do is I'll claim a new device. Then I'm going to go back to copy the device ID from UCS Manager, paste that in, and then I'm going to go to my claim code, going to copy that, paste in the claim code, and then I'm going to claim the devices. So what I'm doing here is a direct claim. So if the actual if there is an external DNS and the Fabric interconnects can reach the internet specifically for different portals on Intersight, then we should be okay. I can actually verify that right here. I can see that Intersight is attempting to make a connection. It's in a not claimed status right now. I can actually view the bar here. If I just click refresh, it will actually show that it's actually claimed. So now the device is claimed. So here, what it will do is it will actually pull the inventory of a UCS manager. So here, this is the free version of Intersight. So I can deploy a Hyperflex cluster from Intersight for free, and it's completely automated. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the process for this. First of all, I need to make sure that everything is there. As you can see, I've got my 3 servers. I've got my server ports connected. Now, this is not a requirement. Okay, technically, all I should need to do is just establish the VIP connection, do the claiming, and then everything will be done in Intersight. Okay. So now I can go to profiles. I have a pre-created profile already. You have server profiles and Hyperflex profiles. If I click on the Inter1HX profile, I can actually see the configuration. So if I wanted to take a look at one of the policies, I've got my DNS, NTP, and time zone policy. I can click on it. I should be able to click on it. There we go. I can actually view the result of the last deployment as well. So what I can do is I can go back over here to general. You know, I can deploy it for free, but I can't manage it. I have to actually pay a license for that. Here are all the actual policies themselves for the cluster, and here's all the node information from the last time that we did the run yesterday. So there's my profile. So let me go back over here, and then I will click on Inter1HX. And if I wanted to, I could actually walk through and I could create a new Hyperflex cluster profile, which will actually walk me through the entire process. Okay, so it will determine what organization I'm going to put it in, what name, Hyperflex data platform version. You can see there's multiple platform versions we can choose. So it will copy all the software down. We can also do Hyperflex Edge, and we can do Hyperflex Edge with Fabric Interconnect, which is what I'm going to do now. I have a pre-created profile, and that profile is right here, Inter1HX. I'll click on the profile. Okay, as we can see, I can deploy this cluster. So I'm going to go, I'm going to actually launch it and deploy it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my profile, and I'm going to select it. I'm going to click on the three buttons over here. Okay, now in order to deploy the cluster, I just want to click on my Hyperflex profile. So I'll click on my Inter1HX. You can see that all of this is already pre-populated. So this is going to go into an Inter1HX organization. 402.4.02b is going to be the latest version of Hyperflex. We're going to be doing a Hyperflex connect with Fabric Interconnect. Replication factor is going to be 3. The server firmware version is 404H. Now, what I recommend is that when you move to a new firmware revision, you go ahead and upgrade your infrastructure to that, and make sure that you put both the B and the C series servers there. So we're going to click on Next. Now we're going to go to Cluster Configuration. So here's all the policies. So I have a local credential policy, and I can actually view that policy right here by clicking on it. And if I want to look at the little eyeball, it will actually tell me here. The little bit difference here, since this is a cluster that's actually operating, hypervisor admin is going to be root, and we're not using the default factory password. Okay, so that's it. So it's just one little thing, since this is a cluster that's actually been used before. You've got your vCenter credentials here as well. This is a local vCenter. You have DNS, NTP, and time zone. That's all there. Storage configuration as well. We are going to clean up disk partitions, since this is a lab environment. There are data stores and virtual machines that reside on it when we destroy it. Then we have a network configuration. So this is all following our Inter1 lab guide that we use for the OVA installation. You can do external fiber channel and external iSCSI traffic. So we'll click Next. So now I can pick the 3 servers that I want to use. And these are the 3 servers that are resident. And you can actually view this. There's the serial number right there. So that's V0S8. So if I wanted to take a look and correlate that and know that I was actually working in the right one, although I would be, or else I wouldn't have claimed it, here's the serial number VOSS. So VOSS is right here. So that's HX1. So you can actually view that here. So we'll click Next. The other 4 there are emulators, which wouldn't work anyway. So cluster management address that this is the Hyperflex node cluster. The MAC pool prefixes are going to be there. And then we'll click next. So here's other node configurations, the host name for the node. Of course, I can make that change. It would just update the policy. The hypervisor IP and the storage controller IP. Technically, these should be in two separate subnets, but this is a lab environment, so we're in the same subnet range here. We're just using different blocks. So we'll click next. So here's our complete listing. So here is our deployment, our cluster name, our cluster management address, firmware revision, replication factor. So here's all the associated policies that that we're going to use. So the next step is that we're going to run through a validation and deploy process. So what's going to happen is Intersight is going to connect to UCS Manager. We're going to validate that the servers have the appropriate hardware configuration settings there, and then it's going to move to a deploy status. So the deploy status itself will take probably about an hour and a half to do completely, but this is something we can do from the cloud remotely without having to launch an OVA and go through steps in an OVA file to build a cluster from scratch. So we're going to go through the process here, and when we start the deploy, I will annotate that. So I'm going to actually pause the recording here. As you can see, as we've gone through the validation process, we've validated the cluster, we've validated the fabric interconnect, so now we're validating the servers. If we wanted to dig in and look, these are the steps. So this is like an FSM tab. This will actually show you what's going on. As you can see that everything has been validated. So we have green, well, not just yet. It'll show tasks that are pending. Might be pending on one of these other ones. No, it might just be cleaning up now. And as you can see here, we've passed the validation phase. So now we're going into the UCS configuration phase. So if we actually take a look, we can see that under the MAC address, it'll build the port channels. As you can see here, port channels are already configured. It will create the VLANs. You can see the VLANs are actually configured here now. It will configure the MAC address pools as well. So you can actually see here the MAC address pools are configured. So what's going to happen now is all that stuff is going to get built. That's all being built here at this level. So configuring VNIC templates, and then what will happen is the actual configuration will take place on the UCS side. Service profiles will get associated. They will then get booted up, and then Hyperflex will then begin the download of the software as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video here and show it at that next stage. Hello, and just like a cooking show, we've actually returned. When we left, we were actually building the cluster. And let's actually look and see what has actually happened. If we go to Intersight, we click on Hyperflex clusters, we can actually see that we have a healthy cluster. It's connected. And we can click on the cluster in Intersight. And we can actually view that, these warning errors are because I don't have a power supply in them, which is fine. So we can view the version of ESX we're running, the version of Hyperflex, the deployment type, data center. We can take a look at our storage utilization in terabytes. Under the tier license-based, we can't really do a whole lot more. But what we can actually do is we can take a look. The last update was 20 minutes ago. Assigned nodes is 3. And that is the process for deploying a Hyperflex cluster through Intersight. Thank you very much.